What's up, yo? Welcome to Your One Life. I'm your host, Kim Young Kim, and I'm super glad to have you as a listener today. Now, if you're new here, I want you to know what this podcast is all about. This podcast is about teaching you from the greatest minds in the world, assisting you in all aspects of your life, and showing you how to stop crime in public places. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, I read that wrong. It's supposed to read, showing you how to stop crying in public places by utilizing the bathroom. Now, some would argue that the restroom is a public place, but I disagree because there's stuff you can do in the restroom that you can't do in the public otherwise, like hand someone $1 after they sprayed you with cologne or perfume. Why is this a thing, by the way? So, here's what's been going on with me. I just came back from a podcasting conference called PodFest. It was amazing. Shout out to the wonderful team at PodFest. Shout out to Morgan James Publishing for sponsoring my ticket. And shout out to all the wonderful podcasters and people in the podcasting world that I got to meet there, and also those that I didn't get to meet. And if we didn't meet this year, there's always next year. And I look forward to telling you about my podcast and pretending to listen to you as you tell me about yours. All right, jokes aside, so much happened at PodFest 2025, including a lot of great learning, being interviewed by other podcasters and creating content, holding meetings, a dance party, and of course, I did some freestyle rapping. But one of my biggest highlights was meeting these two ladies named Darlene Williams Prades and Vivia Richards Collins, because after we exchanged pleasantries, and they're very, very pleasant, by the way, they opened up and they shared their life journey with me. So Darlene started off by saying, I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. I survived uterine, breast, and brain cancer. And Vivia shared that she also survived cancer 3 times. She had leukemia 3 times. And then on top of that, she survived having a stroke. And when they told me about their arduous journeys, I was filled with a combination of awe, amazement, and gratitude. I was blown away by all the suffering they went through, their trials and their tribulations, and the fact that they're still here. And after they shared their stories with me, I totally freaked out and I was like, oh my God, and I gave them big hugs. And I couldn't stop thinking about how they're still here. They're still here after all of that. And that's the message of today's podcast. You're still here. And that's a truly, truly beautiful, amazing thing if you really think about it. And I know oftentimes we don't think about it, but if you really, really take a moment to just reflect on, to think about how you're still here, that this thing called life is an absolute gift, and that we as people oftentimes forget this. I know that I struggle with this mightily. I really do. And very rarely do I think about how wonderful it is that I exist, and I feel like it's something that we don't think about enough, but it's something that I think we should think about a lot more. Now, when I was a younger man and I started thinking about self-actualizing and becoming my best, I started having this wish, probably around the age of 22, 23 years old. I started having this wish that I could actually have an experience where my life and my future were just hanging in the balance, where maybe I was misdiagnosed with a terminal condition, or somehow I had a near-death experience, or even an actual diagnosis, so that I would cherish life more, and that I would live my life more fully, and that I'd wake up every morning with so much gratitude that it just seeps out of me, and it would cause me to live my life fully alive. And real talk, I genuinely wanted that for myself because I wanted to become my best. I wanted to live up to my potential, as we all do. And I know all of this sounds really crazy, but it is a thought that I did have and I did carry for a little while. Now, in my life, probably the closest experience I had to this was when I was 18 years old. And my mom was telling me the story of the terrible car accident that my mother, my brother, and myself were in when I was 3 years old. And my leg was broken really bad. And I actually remember experiencing this accident. I actually remember the chaos of that moment. So in the aftermath of the accident, my leg is broken pretty badly. And as I was recovering, my mom was telling me that one day I was fighting just to walk on this broken leg in the doctor's office. And as I was trying to walk, I kept falling and picking myself up and falling and picking myself up. And I continued to do that over and over. And as I was struggling, my mom started crying, the doctor started crying. And eventually, from what I recall from my mom's story, I gave up and I started crying myself. And when she told me that story, I remember it being the senior year of high school. And I remember just feeling so thankful in that moment because I had this deep sense of gratitude for being alive in that moment itself. Hearing that story, I felt grateful for surviving that car crash. I felt grateful for my leg getting better and also for having the opportunity to grow up. And what ended up happening is I went into those coming days with a lot of just chutzpah for life, a lot of gusto, a lot of fire. But the thing about it is, like most moments we experienced, that feeling faded, and I just went back to living normally. Now, as we think about our lives, one thing that I think is really important is that we don't need near-death experiences. We don't need terrible situations to happen. We don't have to look death in the eye. We don't have to be diagnosed with cancer. We don't have to go through all this trauma and these terrible things to understand that death is coming for all of us eventually. And I believe that it's important that you think about your mortality, and not in a morbid way, not in a I might die right now, today kind of way, but to remember that your time here, as it's been said, is limited. And that each day is a gift, and each day is an opportunity to create, to work on things that matter, to spread joy and goodness and kindness, and to leave an impact on others and the world at large, and to do stuff that matters to you. And we should remember daily that we're still here. And it is our gift and opportunity to take our individual days and make something out of each one, and to make something out of our lives as we cherish them. Now, what I want you to do is to realize, in order to get into this headspace, in order to get into this mindset, there are things that you're going to need to do and also to think about to have the attitude you need in order to live differently, to live fully alive, and to live as someone who makes the most of their life. So one important practice is to think about times you felt very grateful in your life, and not just what triggered those times, but also think about how grateful you felt in those moments, and to actually revisit those amazing moments in your life, where maybe paradigms were shifted in your mind, where maybe you started looking at the world differently, maybe where you started to look at life differently, and also you felt this deep, deep sense of gratitude that moved you in that moment, much like when I felt gratitude for surviving that car accident when I was a kid. And also reflect on the times where you just carpe diem the heck out of the day and ask yourself, what caused that? And how do I live my life so that I do that more regularly? Another thing you can do is to start working on things that you want long-term today. So let's say, for example, you want to start a street gang. And how do you start a gang? The same way you start any major movement, with one person. Now, beyond working for what you want, one of the ways that we can live our lives fully is to practice daily gratitude through maybe a journal, maybe a list that you write out every day, but doing something every single day to remind yourself of all the good things that are happening in your life. Practice gratitude daily. Practice gratitude regularly. Another thing that you need to do is to read books that inspire you, to read books that move you, find people who are your heroes, and look at their life and emulate their life in the ways that you are inspired. For example, Jimmy Carter is one of my personal heroes. I look at his life and I say to myself, wow, what a life. I want to live my life like Jimmy Carter. Maybe you have different heroes. Maybe your hero is Steve Jobs, who gave an excellent commencement speech on living a good life, by the way. Maybe your hero is Malala. Maybe your hero is Harriet Tubman. Whoever your hero is, essentially, we all need people whose lives we want to emulate. So find yours and use them as a target to aim your life at. And as you live your life, make sure that you surround yourself with good people and try to meet some new people on a regular basis. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and depending on what stage of life you're in, maybe you need to meet some new people on a daily basis or a very regular basis at least. And the way you can do this is you could take out a Craigslist ad and you could tell people to meet you at the Container Store in the kitchen section, and you can have this little meetup in there, and it looks like a flash mob, but it's not a flash mob. What it is a crazy thing that you're going to do to make new friends. And if you do, please send me the link of your Craigslist post at youronelifepodcast@gmail.com. I'll make sure to show up, but hopefully I'm not the only one who does. All right. So in all seriousness, what you got to do every day, go meet good people, whether they're new people or people you already know. This stuff you already know. But as you do, make sure that you are your authentic self as you meet them. Just the other day, I was at Trader Joe's and I was doing some of my grocery shopping and I was picking up some anchovies for a friend of mine because that friend doesn't go to Trader Joe's often. And apparently these are the best anchovies in the continental USA. And so as I was picking up these anchovies, I wanted to go to one of the workers there and be like, hey, I used to have a lady named Anne. And one time I called her my little anchovy, and then she left me. Now, to me, that is hilarious. It's funny to say something incredibly lame to people, knowing that it's incredibly lame, of course, and just seeing the look on their face where they're just like, yo, you can't be serious right now. I like doing that stuff. I think it's a lot of fun, and I give you full permission. Number one, to be as silly as you want to be. But number two, if you want to use that line at any retail location that sells tiny fish in tin cans, my message to you is, do not go gentle into that good night. And also don't shy away from ruining your reputation everywhere you go. Now, as you meet people and you are fully yourself, start to dream. Start having dreams that stir something inside of you. And don't make your dreaming just dreaming. Go out and try stuff. Go out and fail. Go out and fail forward. Go and do a little something. See if things work. And if you do this, I think that something magical and something very unexpected will come out of all of this. Not every single time, but in the totality of your effort. But whatever you do, don't sit back and let life happen to you. One thing that I like to do is sometimes I like to pretend that I am in a movie and I'm the main character. And then I ask, if I were watching this movie, would I be inspired by my own actions? And if not, maybe I choose different actions. Because at the end of the day, we are all main characters of this movie called our life. And we need to act like main characters of movies that inspire us. This reminds me of part of a verse that I wrote back in the day that goes like this. You're the author of your story, the star of your show, so make something beautiful and let the world know that they too are beautiful because that is the truth. You're a superhero. Now it's time to step out the booth. And that's the great thing about living more fully, cherishing your life, and doing something with yourself. You can have a significant impact on others. Those two ladies from Podfest have had a profound impact on my life. So not only can you help others through your direct actions and the good things that you do, but you can also have an impact on people through your example. And we all have influence on others. And how you live is the most effective way that you are going to influence others on how to live their lives, much like Jimmy Carter did for me and for millions, if not billions of other people. Now, as we are living fully, I think it's important to have a vision of what you want your life to be, realizing that moving in the direction of that vision seems to be a big part of the good life. And this ties back to working on your long-term goals, which I stated earlier. But also, as you're doing this, it's important to practice taking time to rest as well. You can't be all go, go, go all the time. Now, one last tip that I want to share is to get off of your phones, get off of your devices. And again, this is an everyday struggle for me, but I think this is so key for us living fully alive and to make good use of our time, attention, and energy. And as we do, we are not going to, as it's been quoted, get lost in the comment section of life. All right, so here's how I'm going to land the plane. You can focus on what's important, you can seize the day, and you can cherish the life you've been given every single day. And my hope for you is that this inspires you to live more fully, to realize that life is a gift, and to live your life with that truth at the forefront of your mind. Because you're still here. All right, so that's the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you are inspired. I hope you apply these learnings to your life. And if you do, please reach out to me and tell me how it has affected your life. You can hit me up on Instagram, Your One Life Podcast. You can also email me at youronelifepodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. I always love to hear from listeners, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that follow button so you don't miss future episodes. And for those of you who have been listening, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That helps out significantly. And you can also leave a comment on Spotify because that's a new feature that they had there. Also, please share this episode with anyone that you think should hear this message. This is Your One Life. I'm Kim Young Kim. Hope you have a great day, a great week, and until next time, peace!